Host Christene Marie, and tonight we are going to be talking about why in the dickens is it so hard for us to see what's going on right in front of us in plain sight so clearly. And I had this moment today in the car that inspired this conversation for tonight. We've been talking a lot about relationships over the last couple of days, and in part also we've been going well, not in part, I guess, in addition to that, we've been going through A Course in Miracles every morning. And I just want to do a quick recap of the lessons that we've been reviewing, because funny enough, they actually correlate a little bit to what we're going to be talking about. So we are on lesson 8 of A Course in Miracles. I've been reading it every single morning, and I just want to give a quick recap of the 8 lessons, the 8th being today that we've been reviewing. So lesson number 1 is nothing I see in this room means anything. Lesson 2, I have given everything I see in this room all of the meaning that it has for me. Lesson 3, I do not understand anything I see. For the reason I think. I am upset because I see something that is not there. I see only the past. And lesson 8, my mind is preoccupied with past thoughts. And it's been interesting because over the last couple of days, while we've been talking a lot about relationships in the evening, we've also been talking about these lessons in the morning. And what each one has built upon is accumulating to this reality and this thought process that part of the reason why we cannot see clearly is because part of the reason why we just can't assign any meaning to what we see here in front of us, because when we do, it's all the past. When we look at anything through the lens of the past, we're actually not seeing it for what it is. And when we do that, we don't allow other people to change. We don't allow ourselves to change. And so that today in the car, I had this moment where I had a little come to Jesus moment, as they say. I literally had this thought, which was actually a repetition of an old program that I got in my mind when I was 9 years old. When I was 9 years old, I had this moment. I distinctly remember it. I was sitting by my bedroom window. It was kind of like a movie moment. And I was sitting there and I was like, well, God, it's just you and me against the world. And that narrative has run through my mind on a semi-consistent basis since I was 9 years old. And the thing is that I've got data to back that up. Now, what I've seen and experienced in my life over and over again is that I find what I'm looking for, just like we all do. If we're looking for something to be true, that's typically what we find, and that's what we see. So this old program, this old narrative in my mind that I have subconsciously on repeat, and I'm subconsciously looking for data points to prove that it is still true, is that I am alone and that I have to do life with God and I can't rely on anybody. So to that point, whenever I'm in a conflict with someone, whether it's just a business conflict or an interpersonal conflict, that's the narrative that comes up for me. And the reason why it's so important for us to understand our past is because then we get to understand the lens through which we're viewing the world. If we don't understand the past, so often we don't understand the coloring and the dials pre-view of reality and what it is. So when you and I in relationships are like, why is it that we're sitting here and just having such completely different experiences? It's because our past is so different from each other. And for so many of us, we haven't actually taken the time to understand it. And we don't really understand why it is that you're seeing the world through your lens and why it is that I'm seeing the world through mine. So what A Course in Miracles is talking about, how each memory builds upon itself. Each moment of the past builds to construct. It's like when we go to the optometrist, we press our eyes against the dials. We are looking through a preset lens that was preset when we were kids, with all of the experiences that we had as children that we never moved through and never worked through. So when I was 9 years old and I formed that narrative, it's me and God against the world, that's now a preset dial. And so when I have experiences, business, personal, or otherwise, that's the lens that I'm looking at the world through. And that's how I'm interpreting different moments, especially in moments of conflict. I'm just waiting for this data, this program that I have, to be proven. And that's what's so dangerous. God bless all the people in relationship with me and with you and all of us who are engaging with people that we love and we really want to be close to them. But we've got these preset dials. We have these programs running in our mind that we don't even know are there. And we're looking to find data points to back it up. And so I just want to take a quick moment and say hello to some folks here in the chat. I'm live on a couple different platforms. JT, thank you so much for joining. Dexterity, JFlex, thank you for coming on here. Mike Hunt, I'm so glad you all are joining me. I really, really, really am excited to talk about this tonight because y'all, so much of the time when we hear people sharing, they're not sharing from a very, maybe they're sharing from an authentic place, but I'm feeling like tonight I just need to share kind of an embarrassing story because I'm hoping it's helpful. I have done so much work to know myself and so much work on emotional intelligence and totally found myself in my own moment of needing to remember what I've been kind of teaching myself for all these years. So I had this moment. I was in a moment of conflict with somebody that I love and we hung up. And I actually wrote this down. I have a little notebook or like a little note document. And I wrote down, I was just like, I feel so lonely in this relationship. And then in that moment, I remembered that's my old program. That's the one I've been telling myself since I was 9 years old. I am in such a different relationship than I have been in the past. And it's not just romantic relationships. It's just interpersonal relationships, but that's my program. And so it was so important for me to realize in that moment, like, oh my gosh, I'm not lonely. I'm choosing to be alone because that's my program. So much of the time, our programs are our own choosing. Maybe they weren't at the beginning. And that's, I think, so important because without compassion, we can't really ever experience real change because then we're looking at ourselves with this type of judgment that we'll never find ourselves feeling safe enough to really have real change. And so we need to extend compassion as we're looking at some of these old programs and realize, why did they start in the first place? And then what do I choose to replace those old programs with? And so this old program, I'm alone and it's just me and God against the world. It's not true. And here's the thing, if I fixate on the fact let me actually just give me a moment while I do this in real time. What's my new program? I think my program is that I am so loved. And here's the thing, if I choose that new program, I have way more data to back that up than the old. I do have some old data to back up that old narrative of it's just me and God against the world. I really do. So if I choose to fixate on that, I have the old data to prove it. And I'm sure I'll find more data in the future to back it up. But if I choose to believe the new program that I'm loved, man, will I have so much more data to back that up with, and I'll continue to experience that. So the question for you and me is, what program do we want? What narrative do we want running this? Do we want to be almost like, there's something about a berating of our minds and souls that our subconscious can do against our will and without our permission. And so we have to actively take the driver's seat and take the reins of our mind and look at our subconscious program and say, no, I'm not going to let you be at the helm here. I know what's more true than that past narrative. And that's where the Course in Miracles of today, the lesson today was, my mind is preoccupied with past thoughts. Y'all, this is so important. My mind literally is preoccupied with past thoughts. If I ever want to progress, if I ever want to grow, if I ever want to experience freedom from some of these thoughts that can plague you and me, that makes us feel isolated and separate and alone, we have to really acknowledge the fact that the past is so often the one in the driver's seat. And so once we do the work to trace the root of our thought down to the genesis and be like, okay, what really happened in the past? How did it hurt me? And then grieve it. You know, there's something about moving through. Someone likened emotions to a tunnel. We have to move through the emotions to get to the other side and then be free from them. And so this loneliness that I experienced at 9 years old, I experienced at various other points in my life. And so it's not just that one moment in time, it's also the other points where we built further data that solidified that narrative to be true. And so it can take some time, but it also doesn't need to be super, I guess, laborious or taxing. It can be just as quick as a decision. I don't want to be this way. I remember I was actually driving to a morning with my family over Christmas, and I just had this thought. Because I was really, really tired. I was like, you know what? I don't want to be tired today. I want to have a beautiful, wonderful day, and I get to choose how I show up. And I chose to have energy. You know, guys, it's so cool. It's so exciting, isn't it? Our bodies respond to us. We are the ones that we get to be in control. But so often we forget that. So often we play the victim without even meaning to. We are the heroes of our own stories. And that's what's freaking exciting, is that we're the authors. Sure, of course, things in the external world are going to come at us or impact us or things we can't control, but we are so much in control of our own selves. Viktor Frankl authored a book called Man's Search for Meaning. He was in the German concentration camp. He was a psychologist. He lost his wife. He lost everything. And he said, they can take every bit of human freedom from me, but they cannot take choice. I get to choose how I respond. And that, of all things, is the greatest human freedom. So even if there are things happening on the external side that we can't control, we can control choice. We can control how we respond to it. I feel like I have a hair. I moved my hair. Just taking a quick moment to say hello to folks here in the chat. John Doe. Hi. No, there's my mom, Ellen Hoffman. Aw, I'm so happy you're here. J Flex, thanks for joining. Relaxed 9. J Flex, thank you so much for coming on here. Y'all, I love, Mom, that you're here. I don't know if you're still here, but you know, there's something about, you know, it's so funny. It's so funny because I think that here in this moment, seeing my sweet mother here, I totally just got so distracted, and I just love that she's here. Y'all, my mom is so full. I think that there's something really important about recognizing the fact that we have no idea how long we have with our parents. You know, my cousin, her mom died at 65, and it just, like, tragically, very tragically, for so many different reasons. And now, as my parents are getting older, I'm just like, 65 is so young. It's so young, and we just don't know how much time we have. So we really, my gosh, I'm so grateful, you know, on that way to our family Christmas. I'm so grateful for energy that day, because that could have been a wasted day. That's the power of choice. That's why choice is so incredibly important, because otherwise we waste a whole 24 hours or a whole week or a whole month or a whole year or a whole season of our lives by not taking the choice, by not choosing what we want and how we want to live. You know, I think of there's this concept that I came to realize a couple of years ago called, what does it look like for me to stop looking to the east and to the west, stop looking to the right and to the left to have everyone tell me who to be, how I should live, what do you all want, but rather coming in alignment with my compass pointing north and looking upward and saying, okay, who do I want to be? Who did God create me to be? And I'm going to go be that person. I'm going to bring my behaviors, thoughts, actions, all of that into alignment under the hierarchical structure of my own ideals underneath the superordinate principle of God. And then that's how I choose to live. But that's all, again, predicated in choice. Otherwise, we really do. We're so easily pulled by all of the external voices. Yesterday night on the Knowing Show, someone was sharing about their morning practice and their discipline of really taking the time every single morning to go out and get quiet, and effectively their morning to invest in themselves before allowing for the external voices to come in. And so it was so encouraging to be reminded of that time in the morning is truly sacred. It's for you and me. That's our time to effectively fill up our tank, fill up our cup, so that when we then make choices, we're making choices from this place of overflow. We're not giving from up. We're coming from this overflow where we're so full of energy, we're so full of the wisdom and our values, and we're just so clear on who we want to be, how we want to live, what we want to do, that then the choices are easy to make, like clockwork. They're in alignment with who we want to be, how we want to live our lives. Lendell Jr., it's good to see you. Thank you so much for coming on here. Y'all, I really, really think that this power of choice is probably one of the most underrated things in our lives. We get to choose. And when it comes to this question of why can't we see clearly, we get to choose the lens through which we see the world. So if we're feeling cloudy, we get to choose what we do next. This morning, I don't have my phone here. I sent my sisters an intention. My sisters and I will sometimes send each other a morning intention, and we hadn't done it in a couple of weeks. So I sent my sisters my intention. I said, my intention today is clarity. I said, I just feel cloudy. You know, I'm in this process of moving, and my life is just kind of in upheaval. And I just said, I just want today to be clear. And so then it's like, okay, what's the next best step to ensure that that choice is honored, to put up like mini boundaries throughout the day? And when I say boundaries, their own safeguards for me to maintain clarity. And so one of those boundaries was I actually moved my phone away from me because I found myself continuously picking up my phone. And so that was just a mini little boundary and a mini example of, okay, I've got a choice. I want to see clearly, think clearly. What are just little decisions I can make to safeguard myself and effectively put myself in a little bubble so that I can exist clear from the distraction and the external noise? There's so much external noise. And so the thing I was thinking as I was driving today, you know, when it comes to why we can't see clearly, so often, not only, you know, doing our morning alignment, that's so incredibly important, but also, am I taking the time to regularly look in the mirror, to reckon with the past, to understand the lens through which I view the world? So am I looking in the mirror? Am I allowing the moments that I feel triggered or feeling upset to be a mirror moment? Those moments when we're triggered is exactly a mirror, because we wouldn't be triggered if it wasn't already in there. So whatever that person did that we're blaming them for, really, they're just holding up a nice little mirror for us to look at ourselves and be like, oh, I didn't know that was inside. And so my therapist actually said this 2 years ago. I don't see her anymore, but it was something actually that really caught me off guard. She said, nobody can trigger us. We're the only ones that can pull that trigger because it's already in there. And if we haven't dealt with it, someone else then has power over us to get us to that point of upset. And that was so powerful for me. And I'm still kind of working through the concept of this and the metaphor, but I was thinking about this yesterday. Effectively, if we're so quick to, the second we're under pressure, to get activated and to get triggered, that means that we don't have enough cushion in our life, enough space to, one, work through whatever it is that we're being triggered, but also there's no excess, there's no extra, there's no cushion to allow for someone to do something to us and us to be able to be like, you know what, I'm going to be gracious with you. That's okay. Or I understand, or let me see it from your point of view. We have no cushion, no space, no capacity to think about the other person or extend care. And that goes to that analogy of giving from our overflow, you know, having a half-filled cup, giving from depletion. If we're able to give from our overflow, I actually think that goes in alignment with that same concept of having space, having capacity, so that if someone does something to wrong us, we're not so easily triggered. We can actually see clearly in that moment of it's almost like taking the view off of ourselves and being able to care for that person, because we're good. We've already taken care of ourselves. We've tended to our soul. We've tended to our past, and our past isn't being so activated. So in that moment, we actually can see the other person. There's this biblical text that says, take the log out of your eye so that you can see clearly to remove the speck in your brother's. But if we're not taking that time in the morning, if we're not looking in the mirror, if we're not, frankly, allowing ourselves to give from our overflow, which means that, man, we've got a full cup for us. We're so well tended to. So when I have those old programs repeat in my head, that's usually a sign for me that it's kind of a couple things. It's one, that I haven't been taking care of myself. I haven't been looking in the mirror. I'm not being honest with my partner, or I'm not being honest with myself. So those are usually, like, when I feel kind of to the point of being triggered or activated, that's usually what that means. And then it's, okay, my radical responsibility on the other side of that is, what choice am I going to make now? Viktor Frankl, going back to that same book, he talks about between stimulus and response is choice. We're always going to get stimulus. We're always going to have those external pushing, the pressure, the application, really like constricting us in. And so the question is, do we have it's almost, I really wish I could get this concept across well, and I don't think I will, but we'll try it. It's almost like with the pressure of the external, we're so in the nucleus, and we've got so much padding and so much protection that it can kind of like ebb and flow and breathe and come and go. And we're fine. We're steady. We're right there because we've got so much excess around us. And I think that excess comes from the tending to the vertical alignment time, honestly, filling our cup. We've got excess. We've got overflow. All of that padding around our core nucleus, that's the excess. That's the overflow. We're so filled up, man, solid. We're so good. And it's not that, I thought of this today too, which actually wasn't, I had this thought come in that I actually needed to combat. I had the thought of, oh, well, I just need to be good all alone and not depend on anybody. And the reality is, I actually get my cup filled through relationship as well. So all of the things, I love asking this question, when is and what is the healthiest you? Because so many of us, it's a number of things. It's kind of like this cocktail of the healthiest you and me. And the cocktail that makes me really healthy so often includes actually working out. It includes community. It includes time with God. It includes my own alone time. It includes time with my family. It's all these different things. And so if I want to maintain a full cup, much less with overflow and excess, to not just protect me, but protect everyone around me and love everybody well, then I am responsible for maintaining that cocktail to make sure that, man, every day it's shaken and stirred and I've got enough with excess left over. So with that, y'all, thank you so much for joining me tonight. It's so fun that my mom came on here. How fun. Chief the Medicine. I've been on a healing journey for about 2 years now. Wow, healing from childhood trauma. Thank you so much for sharing that. Man, good for you. I really, really respect that. I think that that's one of the bravest things that someone can do, is to really pursue healing. And it's for the good of everyone around us. It's for the good of the excess overflow and for the capacity and the padding for everyone in our life. So y'all, thank you so much for joining me tonight on the Knowing Show. I will see you tomorrow morning as we chat about A Course in Miracles. I plan to go live around 8 or 8:30 a.m. And I will see you then. David, thank you for joining right here at the end. Aaron, Father Time, thank you so much. Stuart, I hope you all